Well, all right, guys. So, back here, not in the Nerd Cave, again in Nick's office for Cave Conversations number 4. It's been a little bit, but we wanted to do like a Techtober special since it's been about a month since we did this, and so many things have happened when it comes to tech. So we got the lights going a little Halloween. We got some pumpkin beer, pumpkin whiskey here to try. It'll be interesting. And we're going to actually do about an hour-long episode and split it into 2 parts. Half on my channel. It's going to be more of like the console gaming side of stuff and the computer gaming side of stuff. And then on Nick's channel, we're going to have some more of the tech related to like creative type content. I'll have that linked in the description. So with that said, let's get right into it. And to start out for this part, we're just going to be going with the beer here. And I know a couple episodes ago I had the Rum King. This is just the Pumpkin. It's a Southern Tier's pumpkin beer. And it's always been my favorite. So when it comes to like the fall style pumpkin, it's an Imperial Ale. Let's see. 8.6%. So it's a heavy hitter. But yeah, let's get this opened up and give her a try.
Should have been like one of those ASMR things where you're just like,
so tasty, so delicious. God damn it.
You know, if you come in here, I'm going to just have to make you laugh. And
That's the reason I come back. Let's see. Try and get these even. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
All right, so first on the topics, I think we wanted to cover some of the new stuff that AMD's got going on, some new processors, new GPUs, and then we're going to follow it up talking about Nvidia and the continuous debacle with trying to get their new cards into customers' hands, which I've had a very tough time, as I'm sure many people watching this have, tried to get their hands on the new, what are they dubbing them, the RTX 30 series, 3000 series?
Yeah, the 3000 series, and we'll wait. We'll hold off on that for a little bit. I know you've already had your struggles today, so I don't want to make you feel bad right away.
Yeah, and then we'll get into the Xbox and PlayStation. Obviously, those releases are coming out next week for the next gen of consoles from Microsoft and from Sony.
I guess it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks from now.
And I'm jumping the gun.
But it's close. It's sneaking up on me. I'm realizing I have a lot of content ideas for that, and I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I have some free time so I can really, when both of those come in, focus on it. So I'm excited for that. It's the 10th for the Xbox, the 12th for the PlayStation. So that'll be exciting.
All right, so let's roll back and talk about AMD and what they're doing with their new processors and GPUs. New Ryzen CPUs, the new 5000 Zen 3 architecture. So brand new processors, brand new graphics cards announced the other day.
Yeah, they have on the Ryzen side of things, it's everything from their 600 all the way up to their 950. So the 5600X, the 5800X, the 5900X, and the 5950X. That's 6 cores, 8 cores, 12 cores, and 16 cores, all with hyper-threading. And their big thing there is they have finally taken the single-threaded crown from Intel. And that's the one place they've been falling behind, and that's the reason they haven't been able to beat them out in gaming, as well as some other single-threaded tasks. And it looks like, according to their benchmarks, and now a lot of the benchmarks that have been leaking online, that they didn't just take the crown from Intel. They full out stole it and then kicked Intel in the nuts. There's leaks happening like now coming out like past benchmark that the 5600X is beating out the 10900K, which had the highest score there, by 11% single-threaded performance. That's a huge huge jump in generation. And over their own chip, generationally, that's around a 20% jump for AMD's self-improvement on there. But it's staggering that they're able to, on the same manufacturing node, with just an architectural change, get that much improvement for the same TDP. It's really impressive. And then you can go all the way up the ladder to the 5950X, and it just keeps going up, increasing. And that same thing, pass mark, that was another like 5 or 6% above the 5600X. It's astonishing that they're going to have the crown now.
There's also with Intel a socket tax that you actually have to change sockets, and whereas AMD you can simply do a firmware upgrade to an existing Zen 2 motherboard to be able to get Zen 3 compatibility and then replace the processor. Yep. So that, you know, with Intel actually requiring you to pay more when you're upgrading from, what is it, the 9900K to the 10900K,
and it has yet to be confirmed. But the new Intel processors supposedly coming out around like January, February. They'll probably be announced in January. I would guess come out around March, somewhere near the end of Q1, early Q2. That they'll have PCIe Gen 4 support, great and all. Like AMD's had that now on 2 chips. But
love my M.2 Gen 4.
But besides that, it still looks like it's going to be Skylake architecture, so 14 nanometer. How much more can they pull out of that? They've done it now since 6th generation. They've done it now for 4 or 5 upgrades of chips. They can only pull so much out of that. It's at this point it's becoming a constraint. You can only do so much, and they've done an incredible job. The 10th gen series chips, the 10600K was an incredible i5 at $280. And it gave the same gaming performance just about as the 10900K. Absolutely incredible chip. But they can't do that again. They pulled every little bit out of that architecture that they could just to get it to that point. So they really need to get the 10 nanometer is what they're pushing. They need to be able to get that out. I know they have it in laptops, but those are 15-watt chips. They're not doing anything crazy. We need some desktop series chips that can do that.
Yeah. So we're recording this on October 29th. Yesterday, October 28th, is when they announced their new Radeon graphics cards. Those, obviously, when you're looking at upgrading a CPU, you're going to need a beefy GPU to go with it to really get the new performance enhancements from the latest generation. So,
and it ties right in with those new CPUs just announced, those GPUs. For the first time, AMD is taking the fact that they make 2 components, they make a CPU and a GPU, and that they'll be able to benefit from each other if you buy the newest AMD CPU and GPU. They're going to have something called Smart Access Memory, which allows the CPU to pull some of the VRAM and assets from the GPU so that they can communicate more quickly. It gives it a larger cache, all resulting in lower latency, higher frame rates, all of that, which is something I think they should have done a while ago or tried to come up with, since they've been making both a CPU and GPU for a while now, but they haven't had a time ever where they've been on top in both. This is their first chance where they could be on top in both of those markets. It's going to be really interesting to see where they go from here with that. I also believe, and I might be wrong on this, guys, but I feel like I heard in one of the PlayStation things they were talking about something similar to Smart Access Memory, and how with AMD's new technology it was going to allow faster communication across the motherboard with the RAM access from CPU to GPU to storage and everything. All of the components were going to be working more fluidly together. So I'm almost wondering if AMD kind of took some of the technology that they put into the consoles for the new generation, and that's how they came up with this.
Yeah, because it isn't essentially the new Xbox is using the RDNA 2
both
technology.
The PlayStation
both
and
of them
Xbox, are using essentially the 3000 series AMD, the Zen 2 architecture, as well as the PlayStation is interesting. It's using somewhere between an RDNA 1 and RDNA 2 GPU, and the Xbox is using an RDNA 2 GPU. So yeah, they're fully AMD built consoles, and I'd like to think that they take some of what they learn, research and development from one and apply it to the other. Because if you can put on a machine like a PlayStation or an Xbox that's going to be doing 4K, ray tracing, all of this. And for $500, that's some crazy optimization between your hardware that you have to have working. And I'd like to think that they would also try to bring some of that back to the PC side. I know it's not the same thing. It's not the same operating system. You're doing way more tasks. But if there's anything you can learn from one and use it on the other, why not benefit?
Yeah, exactly.
So we didn't really hit on the GPUs yet, but they have the 6800, 6800 XT, and 6900 XT. And those look like they're in line to compete with the 3070, 3080, and 3090. Roughly similar price points. The 6800 is about $80 more than the 3070, but it also showed double-digit percentage increases in performance over that 3070. So it was like, it might be worth that extra $80. Also, unless you're buying the Founders Edition, most of those 3070s are going for $550 or more anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the 6800 XT versus the 3080
at a $50 price decrease.
Yes, and that's the card you're shooting for, the 3080.
I've been shooting for the RTX 3080. Yes, I like the way it looks. The Founders Edition one compared to some of the other OEMs. I've been trying to get that one for some time now, and this new Radeon has me thinking about it, especially if they can get it into customers' hands better than Nvidia has.
I was just going to say, would you consider it? I mean,
so there is a spec that is interesting. I know we talked about this before we pressed record here, but you as a content creator, you edit currently on Windows with DaVinci Resolve. I edit on my MacBook Pro with Final Cut, but I've been thinking about utilizing my Windows desktop for it. So when you look at the video memory differences too, I know the Radeon 6800 is GDDR6 at 16 gigs, and the RTX 3080 is at 10 gigs GDDR6X.
Yes, so
there's a little
faster,
difference. Yes,
but less.
And some of these applications, certainly when you're rendering out and trying to put all your different effects and transitions, and have that playback in a near real time without stuttering, it's very CPU intensive, very GPU intensive.
Especially if you get into RAW or ProRes, any of that stuff.
Right.
Which you record in RAW usually, or
I record an F-Log on my Fujifilm, but I'm also at H.265.
Oh, okay. So not quite as demanding, but
yeah, but it still like makes computers go crazy, even though it has to decode and uncompress all that video information because I'm doing it at 200 megasecond.
Right.
So it's very intensive. So I've been thinking about it, and I've been struggling to get an Nvidia card for some time now. Every day, refreshing.
Ever since it launched.
Yeah. Everybody's been in the same boat. So being able to be on the nowinstock.com tracking everything, and then they found out that they couldn't, keep the bots at bay. So they handed the keys over to Best Buy to be the only Founders Edition retailer in the States. So it's been near impossible to get one. I had a small scare this morning where I thought I was going to be able to get one with that add to cart button, and then it just kept kicking me out. And of course, go to Twitter. A lot of people were experiencing the same thing where they just couldn't get their hands on it. 3070 was available today. Same thing.
Same thing with the 3070. I did it just for fun. I wanted to try and put it in my cart. And I kept getting the add to cart button. Every time I clicked that add to cart button, it would tell me, well, there's kind of a queue system. We'll restock them every few minutes. It's out of stock right now, but keep trying. So I would refresh, and I'd click the add to cart button again when it popped back up. And it just gave me the same message, and then eventually it just said sold out. And then I went back, 10 minutes later, it was available, gave me the same message again. And then about half an hour into it, it gave me the message of, these are no longer available on our site. Please check in store. And
they're not available in store.
Yeah, they're not.
There's a big banner that says online only.
The website had the banner underneath that, like Nick just said, online only, right underneath where it said, please check in store. And I was like, what do you want me to do at this point? So I'll be interested to see over the next couple of days how it develops, to see how many people out there in the wild are saying they were able to get a 3070. If it is
Founders Edition, because I do know somebody who recently got a 3080, one of the MSI overclocked Ventus cards. Okay. So I know somebody that got that, and he was struggling too. He actually had a real use for it.
Yeah.
Because he does some very high-end stuff.
Okay.
But I know he's been like waiting for that, and he was able to finally get his hands on it. I think he just installed it last night.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you look at that, like now in stock to track stock
But either
of
way,
things.
the whether it's the Founders Edition or one of the others, they're almost impossible to get. Like you said, someone who got one finally, and that's awesome. I mean, the Ventus card, I think there's a couple cards that were shipped in relatively large numbers. I think from the MSI side, the Ventus card was. From the Asus side, the Tough card was.
Mm-hmm.
And then EVGA has their own queue system going for their cards that has been working pretty well. But it's still not a large number overall of cards that have actually shipped to customer.
Right. So looking at the now in stock expanded history for tracking RTX 3080, they had some stock on the 5th, 6th, 15th, and then the 20th and 28th. So we're looking at about a week between when some of these cards, various OEMs, makes, models, come into stock. And to be honest, looking at the Founders Edition one, I mean, it's the cheapest one of the bunch.
Yeah.
As well. So like you're looking at spending upwards of close to $900 on some of the other ones that are coming out from some of these vendors. But yeah, you're looking at a small shot in the dark every week potentially.
Yep. And just from this morning, just based off of my own experience on Best Buy's website this morning with the 3070, the only one that gave me that option to keep trying to add it to my cart was the Founders Edition. The rest of them, all of the third-party OEM cards, instantly went from coming soon to sold out. No chance. So how much stock was there? I'm excited to see the numbers that come out over the next couple weeks, because if Nvidia extended their launch window and didn't really add any stock, it might look bad, because it'll look like they did it entirely just to try and detract from AMD's launch, because their embargoes lifted the day before and the day after the launch. They surrounded the AMD launch with their advertising essentially on news websites, YouTube, all of that, to try and pull that attention away. And I know even YouTubers like Linus have already called them out for this. So it'll be interesting to see if their stock numbers aren't there. Did they only move this date to try and take wind out of AMD's sail? And if that is the case and AMD comes in with stock, they could very well win this GPU war, especially if the numbers they showed off in their keynote yesterday hit home. If they perform the same or better, I guess dollar to performance wise, and they're actually available, they win. That's it. Because all of these people who are getting so frustrated trying to get 3080s, 3070s, 3090s now have an option. They don't have to sit there for a week refreshing and trying to hit add to cart just to get told no. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be weird to see AMD winning in two places if that does happen.
And one of the things I was most interested in with what NVIDIA was doing also is the hardware acceleration for streaming.
Oh, yeah.
But AMD also has one as well.
Do you see they're both using AV1 now for encoding?
They are.
They both are using AV1, which is huge. It's better than NVIDIA. That's what production studios use.
Right.
So
like, when I was looking at, okay, if I thought about AMD and Radeon, what would I be losing from some of the functionality of what I like to do, streaming, some editing, and those types of things. And then when I looked at it and went, I can pretty much do it on either.
Yep.
Like you said, if they are going to have stock and I can get my hands on it, like if NVIDIA came out of the gate and had a bunch of stock available, wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
No. I might have ordered a 3070 if I could have gotten my hands on it, but can't.
All right, so let's wrap up this cave conversations. We want to get into consoles now. So we're going to talk about Xbox. What we know so far, games, specs, deals. There's been a lot of changes with some games getting delayed. I know you have both the Xbox Series X and the PS5 pre-ordered.
Yeah, and I'm excited to play with them. Like I said earlier, they'll both be coming in the 10th and the 12th. And I'm going to have to find a place for the PS5 because that is a chonker. It's a big boy. I don't know where we're going to put it. I'll probably put it on the floor next to my entertainment system until I get a new one because there's no place it'll fit. But hopefully I won't do that.
So I've been trying to get a PS5 pre-ordered, the actual like disc version, just because I have PS4 games that I'd like to play on there and just play on one console. And I know you pre-ordered the digital one. I guess the interesting thing that we've been like looking at the last couple weeks is what games are actually coming out that are exclusives to an Xbox, to a PS5, and the list is very small. I think PS5 only has one that is specific to just PS5 that's not coming out on PS4 as well. Yes. And I'm wondering how that has hurt some of the demand for PS5 and Xbox.
I don't think it hurt the pre-orders for PS5 because a lot of people were really upset. PlayStation came out with the information that a lot of these games like Spider-Man, Valhalla, a few of the other games, but the first-party games, Spider-Man's the big one I can think of off the top of my head. There was supposed to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive for the Miles Morales. And then, like, 2 days after pre-orders, they were like, oh, by the way, it's coming to PlayStation 4 as well. I know everyone just pre-ordered the PlayStation 5, but, you can play it on your old console, too. So that kind of put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths that Sony went with the whole, these are only for PlayStation 5 because we the improvements we've made, the old console wouldn't be able to handle this game. And then they kind of stepped back on that statement and it opened it up for both consoles. It also took away, now there's only one PlayStation 5 exclusive in comparison to Xbox, and that's Godfall, which will also be available on PC. I don't think it's my type of game anyway, and from the vibe I've gotten from a lot of other people talking to them, there's no one that is like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this game. From the looks of it, it's going to be more of a benchmark game on PC, if anything.
Right.
To just show off new features. But it seems kind of like just a repetitive hack and slash type fighter that, I don't know. I'm not into those games. I get bored of them relatively quickly.
Like I think for PlayStation 5, I'm looking forward to the new Final Fantasy, but that's not coming out till 2021. I can wait some time, and like I've been trying to pre-order it because it would be cool to have very early on, but I'm starting to get into the mindset of that if I'm going to spend money on a graphics card,
right?
If I can get a hold of one, if I can get a hold of a graphics card, then I don't need the PS5 right away because I can play everything that's coming out for it on my PS4.
Yep, on PS4. And
I don't feel like I need one day one, other than being like, haha, I got a PS5. Like that's just it.
And then if there's anything else you want to do, you've got a beast of a computer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that leads us into Xbox. Everything that's coming out on Xbox as an exclusive is also coming to PC on the Microsoft Store. So if you have a ballin' PC, you don't need a new Xbox. Now, if you just want something that's hooked up to your TV and it's just easy, you go pick up the controller, you turn it on, it's great. I think the Series X is going to be an awesome little console. But again, they don't have a single exclusive on launch day. They do have a much larger game library because you have pretty much the entire back catalog back to the original Xbox that you can play on day one, which, I mean, so you have thousands and thousands of games that you can play day one on the Xbox, and especially if you have Game Pass, you have access to most of those,
right?
Majority of those. So you have a lot more you can do with the Xbox Series X on day one. It is supposedly the more powerful of the two consoles. And for some reason, personally, it's the one I'm a little more excited to play with. And I think that's because I've been on Xbox for a little bit longer recently. But I'm also really excited to play with the new PlayStation. So it'll be fun to toy around with both of them.
Yeah, and as far as deals coming up on it, they're just getting released right in the next couple weeks. Yeah. Black Friday's coming around. I think most of the deals I've seen have been adding in extra accessories and bundling games. So it's more of like a discount.
And I don't know how those deals are going to work out because no one has them in stock.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if you can even get one of those Black Friday bundles before Christmas if you order it online. That'll be one. Let me see. We're almost out of time here.
That's not going to show you.
Oh, well. Oh, well.
I gotta turn.
I guess we should probably wrap this up either way. One other thing I wanted to last topic I wanted to touch on is with the consoles. I think we talked about it, the pricing a little bit on the last one, but I will say the last comparison, the Series X and Series S, their pricing that you can do with that all access Game Pass thing, where you get the console and Game Pass for 2 years. For the Series S, it's $25 a month. For the Series X, it's $35 a month, and you own the console afterward. That is a really cool deal, especially if it's like a parent trying to get it for a kid and they don't want to drop $500 up front right now.
Plus an additional controller, plus games, plus all the crap.
Or a kid who is like 16, they have their first job right now, and they're just trying to make, they don't have $500 yet, but they have a small paycheck every week, and $35 a month is no problem for them. Right. They don't have other expenses. They're a kid. They live at home, whatever.
I think how much Xbox Live used to cost in the early days.
And everything's included in this, as well as you have thousands of games. Day one, you get that console, thousands of games. You don't have to go out and buy a game unless it's third party. Sure, you'll probably, if you're a 16-year-old, you're probably going to go up and buy the Call of Duty game. Not trying to offend anyone, but I still play Call of Duty. So, but that is the one other $60 purchase. After that, like, I'm sure there'll be a couple others, but everything else is probably going to be on Game Pass. So, yeah, you have a good deal there. So I guess I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's an awesome thing Microsoft is doing. But we're going to get into part 2 over on Nick's channel. Like I said, I'll have that linked in the description. We're going to try out that pumpkin whiskey, which... we'll talk about it in the next one, but yeah, and we're gonna get into some more of like the creative side of tech that's come out with cameras, microphones, and some other stuff like that.
Getting into some cell phones. I think I'm gonna rant about Android.
That'll be a good one. Yeah, iPhone, Android, those launches. So
it's a lot of stuff that's demanding our wallets this month.
Yeah, no, I don't know how I haven't spent any money this month.
I haven't either. Shocking. It's been shocking, but it's gonna happen next week.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be bad. But yeah, we'll see you guys over there. Got to finish our beer quick.
Yeah, we got to finish our beer. We just got to chug a lug.
Cheers.
It's one of those little blooper things at the end. I just love pumpkin.
We didn't have to chug it.
I just love pumpkin, though.
I was going to fade out as we tipped up the glass.
Oh, well, you can put this as like the end blooper, right?
Yeah, no.